Hi guys, it's Hot Mess Mama coming to you live. Today's the 13th of September. It's like 3:45 Eastern time. I realize I haven't done a live broadcast in a while. I've been out of town and dealing with some things and crazy schedule, so I have not been able to do a weekly, 10-minute slot with you guys, and I missed you. So I wanted to kind of just do one today, and I thought today would be fitting, September 13th at about 3:45 Eastern time here in Greenville, North Carolina, which is, I don't know, 70 miles from Morehead City, where the entire East Coast is being visited by none other than Hurricane Florence. And so we've all kind of been prepping for it. And this week, with hurricanes, it's really interesting. Like with hurricanes, so far in advance that they're coming, that you have some decent time to prepare, which is good. Great. It's great, right? But it really kind of starts to grate on you because you're like, you have all of this time. Once you get prepared, like hurry, hustle and get prepared. And then there's all this time where you kind of just wait. You're waiting, you're constantly tracking the track and the cone of uncertainty, and you're constantly like on edge thinking, okay, do I evacuate? Do I not evacuate? Did I take care of everything? Like, have I done everything on the checklist? Have I taken care of all that stuff? So it kind of really, and I've been through hurricanes before. We've lived here in North Carolina for 10 years, right? We've lived through hurricanes, but there's just something about this one. And maybe it's just like the media. I mean, obviously it's massive and scary and unpredictable, but I also kind of, there's that part of me that goes, is the media really hyping this beyond the true severity? Like, is this being like sensationalized? And is it, cause it's starting to stress me out. And I think it's, and having the news on like 24/7, watching this stuff and just waiting, and then your kids are like, Mom, like you have to try to explain to your kids why you're watching this. You don't want to scare them, and and you don't want them to be afraid, but yet you want them to respect the storm. And then they ask questions, and then you're like, how do I answer these questions? Because they're going to ask questions about what hurricanes come from and how they work, and do I really know how to answer that? Probably not. And I just give them a basic explanation, and then they give me all sorts of more questions. When's it going to get here? How long is it going to last? Are we going to flood? Are we going to have to leave? Are we going to die? And why does God send me these things? Like, these hurricanes. So it gets complicated when we've got little kids. I've got, as you know, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. So as all this is going on, and schools are closing, and the shelves are going bare, and we're all preparing for the hurricane to hit, it kind of forced you to really kind of think about your life and what's important to you. So like when you're faced with danger like this, like normally, not normally, I wouldn't know, I've never been in a situation like this before, but like, in a life or death situation, sometimes you have seconds to make snap decisions, right? And you instantly know what's important to you. But now we've had days to kind of think about it, and I've been contemplating like, now that I'm in this impending danger, like what's important to me? And strange things, So I guess I'm not really scared of the hurricane because we're pretty far inland. We're gonna get flooded, and we know that, and we're probably gonna have some wind damage. We also have a beach condo, which is probably gonna get destroyed in all likelihood, but at least we're safe, right? So count my blessings, right? So I guess what I started, so I'm also very cognitive and cognizant of like how I have to operate and act around my kids. Because yes, I have to be responsible, and yes, I have to be realistic, but I also need to be tender and comforting, right? So I think that they really do feed off of how I react to things, and they're going to mirror that, right? So I want to make sure that I am acting appropriately. That's hard sometimes when you're scared inside, right? And so then you want to reach for a bottle of something to drink, but then you're like, but I can't drink too much because I can't be impaired in the event I have to flee, right? It's just like your mind is constantly reeling on everything you do, and what happens if I have to do X, Y, and Z, or what happens if this happens, or if that happens, or if this scenario, or that path, or, do I have everything that I need? And like I said, it really makes you evaluate what's important to you. So we're packing up all of our getting our emergency supplies, and with every hurricane, everyone gets bread and milk and water. They go out and buy, generators. We don't have a generator, but lots of people buy generators. And batteries, and try to charge up all of your devices, because that's key. But in all likelihood, we will probably lose power. We will probably lose, obviously, and then internet. And then we will probably lose water. It's going to be, it'll be difficult with no power, no water, no internet, especially with 2 little kids. But we'll make do. But so you're thinking to yourself as you're packing your emergency kit, what are the things I need to pack? What's important to me to try to save from this situation? So I'm packing obviously emergency things that you need, like your clothes, your medicines, your important documents, you know, stuff like, hey Tanya, your important, Tanya's awesome, by the way. I've been like posting all sorts of her like tips and tricks for like hurricane preparedness. She's awesome. Look at all the other ones that I posted today, and she's been posting. But like, you know, you pack all the necessities, right? You're like, oh yeah, I have to get the water, have to get the medicine, have to make sure I have all the important documents, have to make sure I've got, you know, all clothes for 3 days and some, you know, non-perishable snacks, and gotta have dog food. Like, you know, you get all the essentials, right? But then you're like, but what are the things that I really care about that I have to save? Like, what's really like that I have that's important to me in my life? And I was surprised at the things that I found were like critical to me to save, if you will. Whether that means like storing it up on the top floor of our house, or whether that means putting it in airtight, you know, waterproof containers and taking it with us in our truck. What things are of critical importance for me to try to save? So I found it was interesting that I was like saving things like jewelry, obviously, you know, things like that, or that meant something to me. Or like I went and I was like, I saved all of my dad's handkerchiefs. My dad passed away, and he was like one of those old school gentlemen who always had a handkerchief in his pocket, and I've saved all of his handkerchiefs that I'm hoping to give to my children at some point in their life, like on their wedding days or something like that. It was important to me to save those. Or it was important for me to save some other things that like my dad left me and the kids. Like my dad wrote all these greeting cards to my kids so that he could have those cards given to them on their milestones, because he knew he was going to die. So it was important for me to save that, or like to save old greeting cards that he wrote me, you know, or that my mom wrote me, or my teddy bear, like a teddy bear that I had since I was a kid, I wanted to save, you know, things like that. So it was just really interesting to me, like as I am going through all of the things that I found that I needed to save, because it really kind of made me think the things that really were important to me and my soul, and like what was going to bring me comfort knowing that I was, you know, or like my wedding album. When we got married 20 some years ago, there were no digital pictures. So all of our pictures are hard copy, like, you know, pictures, nothing is digital. So like if I lost that, I would lose all my wedding photos. Like the things that are important to you. So like, Tanya, what are some of the things, or Harmony, like if you were in a situation like I am right now, where you have time to prepare and you have time to, you know, save things, like what would be like the top 3 things that you would work hard to save? Like save, like, you know, was there maybe a gift that your parents had given you, or something from your childhood, or a special photograph, or a special document or letter, or, you know, I was amazed at this kind of stuff. Or like my kids, like I made them time capsules when on their first birthday, so that they could look back on when they turn 18, they can look back on all the things that happened in their first year of life, you know, that happened in the world, that happened in sports and news, and in their personal lives, their time capsules. I was like, I need to try to save their time capsules, right? Or like I have memory boxes for each one of them, which are these big Tupperware boxes where I save things like their handprints, and like, you know, their first locks of hair, or their first lost tooth. Like all of these things were things that were really important for me to try to save, or things that are really important to my culture, like my Lithuanian culture. Like some of my family, like is from Europe, they're born and raised there, and they came here and they brought all these traditions with us that like hand sewn things that were important to me to save. Or I made teddy bears for my kids out of my dad's clothes when he passed away. Or we made rosaries out of the flowers that were on my dad's casket when he died. Like things like that, or like, you know, things that my mom had given the kids, you know, all these things that were really important to me. But like, Tanya, what are, like, if you had to save 3 things, if you were given like all the time in the world to, you know, to contemplate what 3 things at your point in your life right now that you could save in the event of an emergency like this, what would it be? Or you, Harmony, like what would be that important to you, like in the material world, for you to save? Because of course, first and foremost, the priority is to keep yourself and your family safe. And your pets are a part of your family too. You know, keep yourself safe, because the other stuff is just, it can be replaced. But there are just some things that are irreplaceable, right? What are those 3 irreplaceable things? And it really made me think this week, like, wow, I'm surprised at things that were important to me, that I felt like I needed to save. But, you know, on that note too, like and how I was saying how my kids, I feel like I need to act like confident and calm, but yet respectful of the storm. I am also taking cues, and I'm feeding off of my husband, who, like, we've always been super, you know, like good and prepared and whatever for, like, you know, for storms like this. This time, like I said, it's different, and he's acting really different, which is leading, like, I'm taking my cues from him. Like things like I just went into our laundry room, and in our laundry room, he has prepped, he has sitting in the laundry room, my kids like want rain boots and life preservers. That freaked me out. I went in there, I was like, oh my gosh, he just saved the life preservers. Like, it's legit. We could get 9 to 13 feet of water, and our kids are so tiny, like in a life preserver, but like, wow, that freaked me out. Or things like, my husband like was out every day this week getting supplies, whether it be bungee cords or whether that be, batteries or battery powered radios or flashlights, or, got glow sticks for the kids. Like he was like insane about going out to get all of these like things that we could be prepared for within the house. The one thing he didn't get was a generator, and I bet you that he was probably about this close to getting it. So I'm watching him do all of this preparation that he normally has not done, right? And I'm watching him do things like pretty severe, like I said, he's already like got the car loaded full of our our emergency kits, and he's got the gas tanks full, and he's got all the dog stuff ready, and he's got an evacuation plan in the back of his mind. The scary thing is that where we are in North Carolina, there really is no place to evacuate, because the entire state is pretty much going to get hit, and we can't drive north because North's going to get hit. Can't drive south because South Carolina's going to get hit. And we can't drive west because all of North Carolina's going to get hit. And then like there's no place for us to go, and all the airports are closed. We can't fly out anywhere. So it's a little bit scary, but and if you leave your area, the scary part is everyone's like, why aren't you evacuating? I'm like, because if we leave the area, there's no safe place for us to go, really, number one. And number two, it will be that much harder for us to get back in, because that's what they neglect to tell you, that once you leave, it's going to be that much harder for you to get back in. Right now, things look calm, like here in Greenville. Like I said, we're about 70 miles from the coast, but we're going to get storm surges that are going to flood our rivers and tributaries, and it's going to flood us. And we're going to get some high winds, and it's just starting on the coast, which means it's just going to start coming into us. And then, tonight, like hard, like it's raining and it's windy. We have a pinwheel set up outside on our patio just to kind of watch the wind. And I wonder how long it will take before that pinwheel is like blown into oblivion. But like things like we had to like bungee down our trampoline. Like you can't just like put away a trampoline, right? It's too big. You have to bungee that down, or like, move all of anything inside that could be, turn into a projectile. I think about things like trees hitting our house. We had a tree hit our house once before. I think about these beautiful carvings. My dad created and built these carvings of these ethnic, European crosses for each one of my children that are large, that are in our backyard, that I'm worried we're gonna lose, and it's not something that we can replace. So my dad built those with his own 2 hands, with his own plans. So I think about all the things that are really important to me materialistically. Is that bad? Things that I would want to save. But I also am very, very cognizant of all of the things that are really important about, saving lives. And I was thinking, gosh, do I have we don't even have a will. Like I'm thinking, what would happen if I lost my husband? What would happen if my kids didn't have one of us to take care of them, or I didn't have a spouse to help to be my spouse? Like, so it's just kind of, those things like are creeping into my head right now. But and then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, let's make sure all the kids get showered before we lose water, or let's make sure that all of our stuff is super powered up, or let's watch TV now before we lose our, before we lose TV. And yeah. Hey Lena, how are you? Good to meet you. Good to see you. Yeah. So yeah. And so on top of all this that's going on in Greenville, we also are getting tornado warnings, because this is all what happens when there's a hurricane, this close to us. We get storm surges on the rivers. We get lots of rain and wind. We get tornadoes. We lose power. We lose water. And they'll be down trees, and it'll be crazy. We've always gotten away pretty much unscathed. We've had some a tree hits the house or whatever, but it was never as major as this is appearing to be. So these are just all things that are running through my head. Like, do I have all my medication? Do my kids have medication? Does she have enough diapers? How are we going to feed them? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? What will we do if we got flooded in here? We don't have any kind of rafts to get out of here. How is 911 going to come to us? These are thoughts that are running through my head right now. And I'm glad that I can share them with you guys right now, because I can't do that out there where my kids are, because I have to act like it's a shiny, happy day. Because they're freaked out. My kids saw, when we had Hurricane Matthew 2 years ago here, my kids saw all the flooding that happened there. And that was smaller compared to what's happening right now. And they saw the flooding and they saw the destruction, and they went with me to the shelters to help, feed those and bring supplies. And we went to the animal shelters to, make sure they had food and kitty litter and stuff. And we went to the fire station and to the police station to support those emergency responders. Like, they remember that. And so, like, my kid, as you probably saw in another video, he was praying, saying, like, I just don't want it. They consider, when in their mind, a hurricane is a flood. Mom, I just don't want it to flood. We're going to lose everything. And I'm so scared. And, are we going to be okay? And so I have to, like, be shiny happy. So here I am trying to make it fun. Like, make it fun for a hurricane. Hey, let's have a popcorn party, or let's make 4 set of pillows, or let's do minute twinnet games, or I don't know. Right now we can bake cookies because we still have electricity, But you just, and like things like my husband said, we can't sleep downstairs tonight because that part of our house faces where all the trees are. So we got to make sure that the kids and us sleep upstairs on the other side of the house, so that when the trees hit the house, that we will be most protected. These are things I'm like, really? These are the things he thinks about, and these are the things I'm like, wow, I hadn't considered that. Thanks, I'm kind of now freaked out. But I know we're going to be okay, and I'm praying to God, and everybody's praying for us. I know we're going to be okay. It's just kind of scary, and I have to put on this brave face, and I'm trying to do that, because I know that there's other people that, have much more extenuating circumstances that may be closer to the river, or, may require electricity in order for survival, like, for their oxygen, or for their, I don't know, other things that you need to have, refrigeration for medication. Like, I know that we're going to be fine. We'll be majorly inconvenienced, but we will be fine. But we just don't, they just kind of, everything is just like in town is like, oh, we're closed pretty much until further notice. Like, they closed schools at noon on Wednesday. And like, the shelves were bare here, like Monday or Tuesday, right, Tanya? So yeah, we're all going to be fine, and we're all going to keep you posted on social media. In town, we're all on the networks. Like, we have apps for our neighborhoods, and we use social media to communicate with each other and to text, because they all tell you when something like this happens, don't bother trying to call people because the cell towers will be jammed. And the best way to communicate is either via social media or via text message. So in order to communicate to everybody that who is worried about you, it's just easier to post things on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to let people know that you're okay. So continue to pray for us, everybody, and those that are going to be hit harder than us. And I will continue to update as I can on our situation. And I know that some of you are like, well, I'm not sure where she is in North Carolina. I'll post a map in the comments here so that you kind of know where we are, so that you can kind of track this stuff on the news. But otherwise, I'll continue to post as long as I can before I lose power and I lose like internet connectivity. That we're gonna be okay, but still, prayers never ever hurt. We love you so much. We thank you for everybody checking in with us, and Godspeed, praying for everybody. So we're just gonna roll with it. We're gonna roll with it, and I know at some point I will have a cocktail, because I'm gonna need to kind of start to simmer down, because I'm starting to get more and more anxious as the time gets closer and closer to, like, impact, if you will, to Greenville. But yeah, so thanks for joining me. Thanks for all of your support, and just stick by us as we, kind of brave this storm. We're battening down hatches. Have a great day, guys. Love you very, very much, and I'm so glad to have you in my support circle. Have a great day.